Well, hello and welcome to the Informed Traveler Podcast, a weekly travel podcast where our goal is to help you become a more informed traveler. And I'm your host, Randy Sharman. 'Tis the season for holiday travel, so in a few seconds, travel expert Onanta Forbes will join me to share some holiday travel reminders. Plus, Florida Keys chef Paul Menta is going to join us to offer up some personal insight on visiting the Florida Keys and taking in all the culinary tastes it has to offer. And Ken Stewart from Crowfoot Travel Solutions will be along as well with a few destination ideas and travel deals with our weekly roundup. But first, let's kick things off chatting with travel expert Onanta Forbes, who joins us each week to discuss some of the travel news and travel trends. You can follow her adventures on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Onanta Forbes. OnantaForbes.com is her website. Hi, Onanta.
Hi, Randy.
'Tis the season for holiday travel, and with that, we got some holiday travel tips. Most of these are basic kind of tips that you use throughout the year, but there are some things to watch out for. And you know, if you took extra time during the regular part of the year, this is the time where you want to take even extra time, right?
That's it. That's it exactly. And it is good to be prepared because there's lots of things that you need to think about. And whether you're flying or you're driving, it's important to know what to do or to be prepared, whether it's getting a car inspection, making sure you download your travel apps, know the current TSA rules. But if you are flying, it's good to think about choosing a direct flights, and because winter's unpredictable, right? As far as snowstorms and delays, freezing temperatures. So always try to book direct flights to lessen your chance of missing connections along the way, or making sure your connection is a large enough connection. Going through Toronto an hour and a half, I wouldn't recommend that. Go for more.
Yeah.
And also, consider going first flight in the morning because the plane then is usually there the night before, and it's just ready to go. But still, with weather, they still have to de-ice. So yeah, it takes time to get that plane going. You might want to opt for a train or a bus, but planes are usually if you're going to a hot, sunny destination, which we hope you are during winter, that's what people go on.
Yeah, exactly. Good points, and we pointed this out before in past podcasts. But yes, nonstop flights are great, and if you do have to make a connection, give yourself lots of time. My window is always 3 hours or more, and like if you take the whole day to get where you're going, then and you're not in a hurry, then you're at the airport, have lunch, relax. If you have to use those 3 hours, and if you are delayed by an hour or two, then you're still okay.
Yeah.
And the early morning flight, I think, is really important. I don't think people realize that, if your flight is delayed, well, you get the whole day to catch the next one and the next one. If you're taking that late or last flight, chances are you're going to be overnighting somewhere if there's a delay.
Right. And when you're going through holiday season, sometimes accommodation isn't available because it is a busy time frame. So those connections that you may miss and you're spending somewhere that you didn't anticipate may not be available. So a lot of, you don't want to spend time in an airport, so think ahead. But then, if you do have that long connection, splurge on a lounge access. So, you can, if you are going on a business class, you might get that within your ticket and such. But there's a lot of places like Priority Pass that will you can purchase a lounge pass at that time, or check your credit card. Maybe they have one as well.
Yeah, exactly. It really does make a difference if you can hang out in the lounge. Usually, it's complimentary food, and the Wi-Fi is working, and there's nice, comfy chairs and things like that. And we say this all the time: arrive early, prepare for delays, but and also pack the essentials in your carry-on. You can only pack so much though because of the restrictions. But extra piece of clothing, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Your medication for sure. And gather all your entertainment options because, you might need to while away the time, whether on board or at an airport. Make copies of your travel documents as well. So a lot of people will scan it and put it onto their phone. but then make sure your phone is readily charged. So have your backup chargers with you and pack some healthy snacks along the way. Not just for, having food handy, but in some airports, the food for purchase is expensive. So,
Hmm.
it doesn't hurt to be prepared with it, especially if you're traveling with a family, to have some snacks along the way so you're not adding to your travel budget by buying at the airport.
And that goes hand in hand if you're traveling in a vehicle too. You want to have some snacks and be prepared, and the one that we always go on is purchase travel insurance, especially trip interruption and cancellation insurance, and medical too, of course. That's a given, but especially this time of year, you want to make sure that you're covered for any expenses.
Right. So you want to be prepared for the unexpected because that certainly does happen. And for sure, just think about Murphy's Law. If anything can go wrong, it may. That's why it's a good idea to have backups. And that's where it starts with opting for travel insurance. And you can buy it through, your travel advisor who will help you find the right coverage for you. And you're right, emergency hospital medical, even for without outside of the province, not just outside of the country, it's important, as well as trip cancellation. There's also flight interruption. And then also, if you buy any insurance through, for example, we sell Manulife, we have there's a flight delay where it'll kick in after a certain number of hours delay, and it'll send right to your what by EFT to your checking or savings some amount of money to help you pay for meals.
Hmm.
If so that's also really important to consider. And then also check with your credit card provider to see if what they cover as well. Don't think it automatically covers you. So make sure you check the limitations and the benefits. And also, it's always important, especially since COVID, to include cancel for any reason inclusions in that policy to make sure that it covers everything from cancel flights to lost baggage.
And this time of year, people are traveling for the holidays. Sometimes you get travelers that haven't traveled really very much, and maybe they're not quite aware of things that they can or can't do. And CATSA, the Canadian Air Transport Security Authority, always comes out with their list of do's and don'ts. And one of the things during Christmas or during the holiday season is not to wrap any gifts, leave them unwrapped. And there is a thing you can do. You can check online to see how the time is for the security. Go to the shortest one, the one that has the least amount of wait time.
Right, absolutely. So through the Calgary Airport Authority, you can actually book your place in line in the security line before you even arrive at the airport. If you have Nexus, that's a great way to get through in a expedited line as well. And if you are traveling business class, they also have an expedited line. One of the things that unfortunately that does happen in travel that you could lose your luggage. So just imagine packing a checked luggage filled with gifts that you've diligently purchased for everybody that goes
Hmm.
astray. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you do pack your bags in, your presents in carry-on, as you say, don't wrap them. And then, which gift cards are always good, but so that's really light, really, really light. But and then that's what they say. If you are able to travel light, maybe avoid checking your bag altogether. It will never work for me. So I
Yeah.
have to just be very, very cognizant of what I pack, my weight, because especially during Christmas, they're going to check for weight. And if you're over your the weight allowance, you may be charged an additional cost, which is not cheap either. It could go up to $100 for that extra weight that you may have. So it is important. The different websites, as you say, has all the different tips, including airlines of what or what not to pack. And so, keep that in mind. And then also you might want to be cautious about when flying with food items. So, like, because some liquids, such as large quantities in gravy or cranberry sauce, because you want to contribute to dinner, aren't allowed in your carry-on. So there is a "What can I bring" section of the TSA website
Hmm.
um, that you should go and see and pack your solid food items in clear containers for easy inspection at security.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so just keep it in mind because you don't want to start your holiday with a negative.
No, exactly. You want to be prepared. And as we always say, uh, plan for extra time just in case of delays. And then you won't be stressed and your holiday will start off right.
Yeah, pack your patience because that's
Pack your
definitely
patience.
definitely it will help you relieve holiday stress. You might want to try downloading a few meditation apps, such as like Headspace or Calm. That will
Yeah.
help you through your journey. Yeah, so but just stay positive.
Always great advice. Onanta Forbes is a travel expert. You can follow her adventures on Facebook, X, and Instagram at Onanta Forbes. OnantaForbes.com is her website. Always great to chat, Onanta. Thank you.
You take care. Have a good week.
Well, the Florida Keys has a number of adventures, sights, and culinary flavors for you to enjoy. So joining us now to offer up some personal insight on visiting the Florida Keys and taking in all the culinary tastes it has to offer is Keys resident. He is a list of many things: rum distiller, author, kiteboarder, and chef Paul Menta. His website, paulmenta.com. That's where you can find a lot of his recipes and all kinds of insight on visiting the Keys. Hi, Paul.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. That's quite a list of things you've done. Which came first of the things
Yeah,
you've
it's like
done or
the
you're
Paul
still
or
doing?
the Paul or the egg, which came first? Probably I would say my passion would be cooking because growing up in an Italian family, my grandmother was the one that taught me how to cook, and my dad taught me how to be a mechanic. And as good as I was a mechanic, I really despised the mechanics, having to work on them. So I would go with my grandmother to cook and relax. And here we are 50 some years later, and, and just it's such an integral part of my life. And, I always went to the ocean or the water or a lake or somewhere for my kind of de-stressing, that part of the day that I could just wash everything away and jump in. And I think that's what made me like the restaurant industry, because it is a hard to anybody out there that's in the restaurant industry, the cooks behind a line, all the power to you, man. It's one of the roughest jobs in the world, and you really need to have an outlet. And mine just happened to be this ocean. So I did a lot of kiteboarding and spearfishing and free diving, and now it's wing foiling, and can't get enough of it, man. I love it.
Well, it's you can tell it in your voice, the passion. We should tell people that you are based in the Florida Keys. What part of the Florida Keys do you call home?
I call home in the Florida Keys mile zero. So, like you guys talk about blocks, we go by what mile marker do you live at? It starts at about 130 up the top of the Keys and goes to absolute zero. And I am 2 blocks from zero. So, yeah, I'm at the very end of Key West. It's great because every once in a while, somebody will see me drive a vehicle, which is a rarity. And it's like a sighting of a rare bird. They're just like, what's that? Because I ride my bicycle everywhere. And that's something when you come to the Keys, everybody's so concerned about, do I need to rent a car to get around? Do I have to do this? Man, get on a bicycle, go get lost. Because if you hit the ocean, turn around until you hit the ocean again. You'll never get lost, man. So.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because there is a quote on your website, paulmenta.com, mentioning, you can ride your bike and you're within minutes of the ocean. And most people like to go for a walk. You like to go for a boat ride. So it's quite a lifestyle. I think a lot of people would be envious.
Well, and I guess it's kind of we're unique in a way that we have the Gulf of Mexico, so we have one ocean on one side of the island, then we have the Atlantic Ocean on the other side. So up here, as I come into Canada and everything, and look at all the agriculture and the farming, that's a question I get. What do you guys have? And I'm like, well, our farm is our ocean, and we have an abundance of seafood, and that's what we live off of. We've been always in history, that's been something that's been really special to us in very good times, in rich times, and in poor times, so the ocean is a blessing for us.
Mm-hmm. I'm interested to know more about kiteboarding, because I've I really haven't really heard of it before, being landlocked here. It's not really much called to go kiteboarding here, but tell me a little bit about it, what it is, and your passion for that.
You're kind of riding, if you want to say, a wakeboard, and you have a kite that's pulling you along. So no boat. So it's great. You don't have to get somebody to come out with you and drive the boat. I've actually kited up here in Canada in more spots than I would be able to tell you about. I've actually kited in the lake here in Toronto during a tour back in 2002. So it's kind of neat to come back up here because it was end of summertime. Now I get to see a little bit more. The temperature up here is absolutely stunning right now compared to Key West. It's really warm, and in the kitchens and in the distillery, it's really hot. So kiteboarding, the wind pulls us. The different size person, different wind conditions, different size kites. I'm the only one that's happy to see these little small storms pass by, because all they really do is create a lot of wind. And for me, it's happy days are there. I call out sick, and I'm being pulled on this kiteboard. I can jump up to, I've gone as high as 80, 90 feet, not on purpose.
Wow.
I'd rather stay around the 50s and flip. I used to do that a lot more in my 20s. Now in my 50s, I'm like, wow, I don't bounce anymore. I just kind of go splat, and I feel like crap for a couple of days. So it's an invigorating sport to touch the ocean and the wind at the same time, and to also know that there's this whole other world going on below you. So pretty fascinating, pretty fun. There's so many spots in the Florida Keys. You can learn it as well, among 1,000 other activities that you can do. So, people say, I'm coming to Florida Keys, but I'll be there for a week. I'm like, cool, get this much done. And then when you come back, you can get the rest of it done, because they think we're such a small island, but there's just an immense amount of things to do. And I think there's a connection with all of us, whether it's a lake, a creek, a water, an ocean. When we step into it, it puts us in vacation mode. The only other thing I need to do is bring you down to my distillery, hand you a pina colada, put an umbrella in it, and you're like, oh, just that's it, man. I'm here. Nothing else matters anymore. I don't even think I have a job. So,
well, you are talking to someone who loves rum, so that was next on my list to ask you is about your rum and your distillery. Tell me about that.
Well, 30 years of having restaurants and being in the restaurant business, I wanted to branch out into something else that nobody had ever done. And in Key West, it's a real impossibility because it's a melting pot down there, people from all over the world. But nobody ever had a license to distill. There was a lot of, let's just say my distillery is called Key West First Legal Rum. Let's emphasize legal, because in Key West, there's a lot of illegal, and there was forever. There was no such thing as prohibition. You guys up here are just as guilty as we are, running stuff across the lakes and doing all that kind of good stuff. So I wanted to put my chef kind of hat on, but go into the distilling world. And I just love chemistry. Cooking is all chemistry. And I do really unique things that are only local. And generally I'll get a question, well, is your rum amazing, the best rum? I'm like, no, I don't believe there's a best rum. It's where you go and what you have that's local. What I will tell you is I take all my barrels and I put them into the ocean and I salt cure them first.
Oh, cool.
So it gives it a really unique flavor and helps actually balance the pH in the rum and smooth it out. So
nice.
It makes for, I can make rum at 6 o'clock in the morning or at midnight. So it allows me to go and play on the water or go cook or go do all these kind of fun things and, still balance the lifestyle and make sure my family's taken care of.
Yeah. Well, I always thought the best rum was the one that's in your hand at the moment.
So. That would be a very good, I'll take that quote any day.
Okay. Now I understand too. Now you have a new book series coming out, Native Fuel. Is that true?
Yeah. So I put out Native Fuel years back and we're kind of updating it. You might have seen me with a crazy blonde hair guy on TV who does a lot of yelling in the kitchen.
Yeah, that guy.
You know that guy, and he for the most part called me out, and it was me against him, kind of king of the Florida Keys. Never go against a local. That's all I'll say. But I will say, Gordon I've said in my life, I've met thousands of amazing cooks because they just don't get enough credit, and probably about 6 good chefs. And now I will say I've met 7 good chefs because that man has skills, man. We were out in the middle of nowhere. We only took him in the ocean by boat to get everywhere. He adapted and did amazing. But I pulled a couple historical recipes out of my pocket. One was called Old Sour. It's key lime, sea salt, and a pepper that everybody has bragging rights. It's our local kind of thing that nobody talks about. And so I used that towards the end. He said, "What do you got? You're giving them a bottle of rum?" I said, no, just a little something to pour on the lobster and everything. And, "Oh, okay, go ahead." And little did he know that was going to put me over the top.
What's the difference between a chef and a cook?
The difference between a chef and a cook, one actually works really hard. No, cooks are in people's homes. They could be your grandparents. They could be somebody cooking for you. They could be a cook on a line. The chef thing sometimes, to me, when I was in culinary school as a kid in the late 80s, so I'm dating myself, my big thing was I wanted to wear the tall chef's hat and the white coat. And I found that big chef's hat came with a big ego until I was in South America working with a family. While I was at a hotel, I was staying with them, and this lady cooked chicken 7 days that week because that's all they had. And on day 7, I couldn't wait to have chicken. And she had me do it one day, and she just looked at it and went, "Huh." And after that, man, I mean, my ego got a little hurt, and I then took it as a learning experience. And I realized that people who are cooks use a lot of love. They're making something for you. They're taking their time out to do it. And they're just, we all have that special somebody. You might smell something in the air and go, "Oh my God, that reminds me of my grandmother's marinara." Or, "Oh, that reminds me of so-and-so's pot pie," or, something. And cooks create memories that stick with us because there's a lot of love, I think, that's put in with a cook. And listen, with chefs, I mean, it's not a great paying gig. You don't get enough credit. So I know that's why people want to get accolades, because if it looks like you just went through a battle at the end of the night when you see somebody come out of a kitchen, waiting on everybody sitting out front in their nice white tables. You go through those 2 silver doors and there's a war going on back there. Grown men on the floor crying and screaming and yelling. And I love that part because I like the adrenaline part of it. And that's where the kiteboarding came into effect for me, because it really helped me release that stress and keep me very happy while I was cooking. So, I give a lot of credit to, anybody that'll make you a meal. They're showing you something that they're proud of. They're taking the time to feed you, and they're showing you a little bit of love. So I think that's a great thing anytime.
Very true. You do have recipes on your website, paulmenta.com. Are they easy? Like, could a normal person like myself make the sweetened old sour chicken or the crab cakes or the key lime pie?
Yeah, that's the idea. I really have gone back, not to bring up a sore subject, but, when we got to COVID, a lot of people started cooking again, which I thought was amazing, and I watch these other generations start to cook. But the problem is when you see a recipe and you see a chef doing it, you're like, I don't know if I can do that, and it's very complex. So I've decided to make these things very easy, step by step, add a big dash of a sense of humor, which goes a long way. And to make people go, you did it right if everybody's eating it and it tastes good to you, and everybody has a different style they can add to this. I'm just giving them the footnotes and the ingredients of how to do it. But sometimes keeping it simple is where we get our best flavors from, and just finding local products. I was in one of your very amazingly large supermarkets, and I was just like, they were like, "We're late, we have to go." And I'm like, "Oh, wait. Look, there's like a trout that looks like salmon, and there's this, and what's with this Canadian bacon thing? And wait a minute, I don't understand. What's real maple?" I got to try real maple syrup, and I'm like, So, the cooking part of it just needs to be take a breath, make something to eat, enjoy it, because it's about sitting down, and whether you're eating it yourself or with your family or friends,
Mm-hmm.
it's just making something special. It's an experience. And,
It is.
sometimes we'll have those experiences that aren't so pleasant, but with cooking, you can always add a little something more and turn that, thing that isn't working out right into something really great. So,
Yeah, exactly. And if all else fails, you can just order in. So,
or give them rum.
or give them
It'll
rum.
really,
That's
it
even
tastes
better.
great. Everything tastes great with rum.
It
So,
certainly does. Absolutely. So you did touch on a few things visiting the Florida Keys. Any tips for anybody that wants to visit the Keys and what they should be
yes.
doing?
So, for sure, ride a bicycle. Go around and explore the island. Everything's kept very historic. You'll see that we have metal roofs. You can ask why that is. A weird thing, go to our cemetery. In the morning around 10 or 11 a.m., all the iguanas come out to sun themselves. So you can see the iguanas, but read the tombstones, the history there, and the sense of humor on them will show you why we are so much fun down in the Florida Keys. But the big thing is, even if you don't swim, stand in the ocean, get in the ocean, just sit there, just take it in, hang out on the beach, have the seafood. And just so you know, the sunset is our biggest celebration, but it only goes down. They say, how many sunset celebrations do you have? We only have one. So it's once a day, and it's when the sun goes down. So. But really, just come down, and when everybody keeps saying hello to you, say hello back. It's the way we are. It's really a friendly, happy place with a bunch of weirdos like me living there that'll embrace you with open arms and, show you the world, man.
Well, people can find out more information about you, Paul Menta, at paulmenta.com. Some great recipes. I'm going to try the recipes. I'll probably try all of them, although I'm not a big lobster fan, but my family is.
Well, you can switch any of those. So switch it with something you like. Use it. Do it with a fish, or
I like that.
I like you'll love the chicken one. Do the chicken one.
I'm good. Yeah, that was first on my list to do the chicken one.
Yep.
And you can also see a great picture of Paul and Chef Gordon Ramsay, Chef versus Chef. You can watch the episode. It was great chatting with you, Paul. And enjoy your time in Canada. And thanks for doing this.
I will, man. You'll see this crazy Key West guy running around in all your food markets and restaurants for the rest of the time I'm here, eating as much as I can before I go back. So thanks for having me on.
This is the Informed Traveler Podcast. I'm Randy Sharman. Just want to remind you of our website, theinformedtraveler.org. That's where you can find our contact page if you have any questions or comments about the podcast. You can also email me, too, with any questions you might have. My email address is randy@theinformedtraveler.org. And if you want to get up-to-date travel info through the week or just see a few amusing travel stories and links, you can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/informedtraveler, on Instagram at Informed Traveler, or on X at Informed Traveler. So now, as always, we'd like to end the show with our weekly roundup. And joining us to do that is Ken Stewart from Crowfoot Travel Solutions. Good day, sir.
Hello, Randy. Hello, everybody. And what's our new favorite word? Black Friday, Black Friday, Black Friday.
Well, technically it's two words, but yes, we hear it a lot.
Oh, my gosh.
We hear it
That's
a lot.
all we're seeing and hearing. A lot of suppliers, like I say, had early bird offers, and hopefully some of you took advantage of those before some of the destinations or dates or whatever might have sold out. So if you've seen or heard an ad, just remember, almost all of them will finish by the first few days of December. So you've got all of next week and a couple of days into December. And all travel agents have access to those same offers that you're hearing and seeing. So we can look after a lot of the details so you don't have to. Then you can just sit back and relax because it's all taken care of.
Yeah, make you do all the work. Make you do all the work.
Yeah, you just tell us what you want to do. And again, things to keep in mind when they say Black Friday sale, that isn't across the board in the travel biz. So again, it's, certain destinations, certain resorts, things like that or whatever. But again, we'll weed through all of that so you don't have to. You just tell us, okay, here's where I want to go. This is when I want to go. And we'll tell you if it qualifies for the Black Friday or not.
Awesome. Cool.
Colette Tours, one of the ones. Choose any of the worldwide tours. on their Black Friday sale and save up to 25% per person, which is huge savings for them. Air Canada Vacations, you can save up to 40% on select packages to Mexico, the Caribbean, the U.S., and more. Or get $500 a couple off select tour packages to Europe, Oceania, Asia, the Middle East. Some other Black Friday ones that are popped up. G Adventures, 30% on their worldwide tours. Cork and Hootigan expedition ships, if you ever thought of those, right now they've got savings up to 50% on their 2025 sailings. So, again, lots of offers out there, and we'll help you sort through that over the next week.
I'd like to try one of those expedition ships.
Anybody I've talked to loves it, and I had a good agent friend that was just on a Cork when they did the Arctic about a month and a half ago, and the pictures are just fabulous.
Yeah, I think those would be interesting, fun.
And talking about, we're into the middle of the winter season. Mother Nature has let us know that she's here. And if you've already got your getaway booked for fall winter 25, kudos to you. But if you're not already locked something in, the suppliers' routes have loaded all their products for the sun and beach destinations. A lot of the better and more popular dates like Christmas, which is only 5 weeks away actually. New Year's, Family Day, Spring Break, Easter have all been selling really, really well, and some resorts are almost sold out or limited availability, especially in those larger rooms if you've got 3 kids that we're trying to fit in there. And that's why we don't talk a lot about the offers here on the program each week or whatever, because they don't really come out anymore.
Yeah.
For those who like to plan and book well in advance too, a lot of the product and flights for the spring and summer season are already in the system. So again, just like the Black Friday deals, let's give us a call. Let's discuss your plans, and we'll check everything out for you.
Well, that kind of goes back to your point of having you do all the legwork, because if there is something that comes up, you can keep your eye on it and say, hey, this deal came up for the place that you're looking for or whatever, right?
Yep. Or we could tell you, sorry, but I really don't think you're going to pay to see a sale. Not that I just want to take your money for taking. I mean, that's the thing. We don't want to take your money just for the sake of taking your money. We want you to get the best value you can for your vacation buck, because it's hard earned. And again, you need to watch where you're spending it and do it properly.
Well, exactly, and we always talk about that. If there's a specific date or a specific destination or resort you want to stay at, and it's filling up, don't delay, don't wait for one of those last minute sales, because it's not going to happen.
Exactly, 100%. Again, talking about, like say, families with 3 kids, but if you got kids and you also have teens looking for better prices, a lot of the resorts, such as the Rio properties and others, have kids and under stay-free programs for kids under 12. And Palace and Hard Rock and a couple others actually have kids under 17.
I like that.
Stay free at the resort. You just pay for the airfare and taxes or whatever. So, I mean, and that's a great value for a teen, because usually anytime you start getting 13 and up, they're usually being charged adult prices at most resorts. So
they are, again, and they eat a ton.
Well, exactly. And again, they're a little more expensive at these ones, but by the time you do the end dollar amount, it's the same or better than the other ones. And again, they're more upscale resorts and got lots of stuff. They have teen club too. So again, something to consider and have that conversation with your travel agent. Mm-hmm. Golf season is now moved indoor, so we're hitting those balls into the screens. But we have packages, or can build you a package. Maybe you want to go over to the UK, great courses in Scotland and Wales. Maybe do the long stay in Portugal, take the clubs. Thailand, another great place for a long stay, and take your clubs. Great weather, great golf prices. Keep your game up. An example would be a Portugal golf package. We got 21 days in a 1-bedroom apartment. You got a car rental and unlimited golf at 5 different courses from only $35.10 Canadian per person. Mm-hmm. So, that's normally a stay, and they're throwing in unlimited golf at 5 courses.
Golf until your back hurts.
Time, I'd be thinking I might be heading over there.
You could golf until your back hurts.
And again, for those real golf enthusiasts, we can help you out with packages to maybe you want to go to the Phoenix Open, which is a popular one, as well as the Ryder Cup in 2025, which is being held in Long Island, New York. So a great opportunity to tie in a few days in New York City, do some exploring. And then maybe if you're a cruiser, you could take a cruise before or after the Ryder Cup too. So again, you'll get a few things done for your golf holiday.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, if you booked your own flight to, or even if you're just flying through the UK, London, one of the more popular airports that a lot of ones do, you will be traveling, if you're traveling after January the 8th, make sure you check and apply for your ETA, Electronic Travel Authorization visa that you need now. To enter or transit UK, applications are opening up here on the 27th of November for Canadians. So again, don't leave yourself caught. And again, it's one of those things where as travel agent, we're letting all our clients know, but if you did book it yourself, again, check it out and don't leave yourself caught.
No, exactly.
Another thing too, we talk about the importance of working with an agent for a lot of reasons, and having travel insurance, especially during these times when there's so many more reasons to have, and if needed, use it for traveling, even just out of province, not just out of the country. You never know what could or does happen, especially while traveling. Everybody's thinking, oh, I should be fine or anything like that, but make sure you have at least medical, because that's going to be the most expensive part of your trip if you have to do something. And again, also with our Manulife travel insurance plans, if you have the trip interruption cancellation component, they also have a new program now called Flight Interruption. So you register your flights within 72 hours of your travel. They track it, and if you're delayed more than 3 hours, bing, you get a $40 voucher right to your phone.
Nice.
So you can go have a beer and a sandwich while you're having to sit there and wait. Delayed another 3 hours, they're going to send you a second voucher for another $100. So again, use that free call to your travel agent and have a conversation about travel insurance just to make sure that you've got what you think you need.
And that's per person, right? So if you're traveling with a family of four,
correct.
That'd be 4 times that $40 voucher and 4
so
times that $100. So that would,
you got it.
And that would pay for a hotel if you had to stay overnight somewhere. And this is the time of year where weather has a more increasing factor
Huge
on delays.
impact.
So it's a good thing to have.
Exactly.
And what is that number people want to call?
In Calgary, 403-241-7140. Outside Calgary, please call us toll free, 1-877-511-5511. Then, like we say, you can relax. It's all taken care of.
Indeed, sir.
Have a great week, everyone.
And that is our show for this week. If you have comments or questions, we'd love to hear from you. If you have a show idea, send that along as well. My email is randy@theinformedtraveler.org. And if you like what you heard, tell a friend. You can check out our website too at theinformedtraveler.org. In the meantime, thanks for listening, travel safe, and be an informed traveler.